Picture this. You're standing on the shoreline or drifting above a reef, and suddenly the water below hides a shadow the size of a small car. That's the Goliath grouper, one of the true giants of the ocean. These massive fish can grow well over 600 to 800 pounds, making them the undisputed heavyweights of the reef world. They weren't always so common. In fact, during the 1970s and 1980s, Goliaths were nearly wiped out by commercial overfishing. For decades, they disappeared from many parts of Florida and the Gulf of Mexico. But thanks to strict protections, populations are slowly returning, and anglers now have the rare chance to encounter these underwater behemoths again. Unlike most sport fish, Goliaths don't rely on long runs across the ocean to test your strength. Their power comes from brute force, a sudden dive into their rocky lairs, a crushing pull that can snap rods and bend reels. For many fishermen, it's not just about catching a fish, it's about squaring off with a monster. Targeting Goliath grouper isn't casual fishing. It's a full contact sport. Anglers need equipment more like industrial machinery than recreational tackle. A heavy-duty reel with 80 to 100 pounds of drag is standard. Lines often exceed 300 to 400 pounds of test strength because anything lighter is almost guaranteed to break. The battle is usually decided in the first 30 seconds. If the fish manages to retreat into a reef or wreck, the fight is over. That's why specialized monofilament leaders, sometimes over 1,000 pounds in strength, are used to withstand abrasion against jagged rocks and pilings. Even bait delivery is a challenge. From the beach, anglers often deploy baits using a kayak, paddling them hundreds of feet offshore to drop precisely near underwater structures. Fresh bait mullet jacks or rays is irresistible to Goliaths. But the key isn't just the bait. It's positioning close enough to tempt the grouper out, but far enough that you stand a fighting chance. Hooking a Goliath grouper is like attaching your line to a freight train. The first surge can tow small boat snap rods or rip anglers off balance. Many seasoned fishermen say it's the most exhausting few seconds you'll ever experience with a rod in your hands. Unlike tuna or marlin, these fish don't streak across the horizon. Instead, they dive vertically into dark crevices, pulling with raw muscle and sheer bulk. The angler's job is simple in theory, but brutal in practice. Stop the fish before it disappears. Fail to do so and the line snaps. The rod breaks or the fish buries itself beyond reach. Some battles end quickly with the grouper overpowering the gear. Others result in a slow tug of war as the fish tires and eventually rises. Either way, every encounter feels like going toe-to-toe with an ancient sea creature. What truly sets the Goliath grouper apart from other giants of the sea is how accessible it can be. Unlike marlin or swordfish, which demand long trips into open waters, Goliaths often live surprisingly close to shore. Under the shadow of bridges, in the pilings of old docks, or beneath causeways that stretch across deep channels, these massive fish lie in wait. For anglers, that means a chance to hook one of the ocean's largest predators while standing with both feet still planted firmly on the beach. The idea is almost surreal. A fisherman casting into an inlet at dusk, waves crashing around him. And suddenly his rod bends under the weight of a creature hundreds of pounds heavier than himself. This is where preparation becomes the dividing line between storybook success and heartbreaking failure. Because Goliaths don't run across the horizon like tuna. Every second of the fight is vertical, a struggle between angler and fish, in a straight line toward the ocean floor. The tackle isn't just important, it's absolutely essential. A heavy rod, a high drag reel, and a leader strong enough to withstand jagged wreckage. are all non-negotiable. Without them, the fish almost always wins. Even for those who succeed, the victory is never one-sided. Many anglers describe the battle as a contest of willpower, a test of who can hold on longer. The grouper surges into its rocky refuge. The line stretches to the breaking point, and every muscle in the angler's arms and back is pushed to its limits. When the fish finally surfaces, gasping and rolling near the boat or shoreline, it is less a catch and more a mutual recognition of strength between human and beast. And the most thrilling part, this epic encounter doesn't always require a massive sport fishing vessel or a weeks-long expedition. Sometimes all it takes is courage, preparation, and a stretch of shoreline where giants still roam. As incredible as the fight is, the story of the Goliath grouper carries a deeper message, one of conservation and responsibility. These fish were once on the brink of disappearing, hunted to near extinction for their meat and trophies. By the 1980s, their numbers had plummeted so drastically that encounters were rare, and some feared the species might never recover. It was only through strict protection laws that the Goliath grouper gained a second chance. In U.S. waters, they cannot be harvested, bought, or sold. Every catch must be released, and every encounter is an opportunity to appreciate, not to exploit. This protection has worked. Reefs that once stood empty are now home again to these giants, though their comeback is still fragile. Why is this important? Because Goliath groupers are what scientists call a keystone species. They play a vital role in balancing reef ecosystems, controlling populations of other fish, and maintaining the delicate relationships that make coral reefs thrive. Removing too many Goliaths disrupts this balance, threatening not just the grouper, but the health of the entire reef system. For anglers, that means treating each encounter with respect. Strong gear ensures the fish can be landed quickly and released with minimal stress. Handling must be careful, avoiding damage to the fish's protective slime coat or gills. Many experienced fishermen emphasize that the true trophy isn't the meat or a mounted skin, but the memory of facing down one of the ocean's great titans and letting it return to the depths to fight another day. Perhaps this is why the Goliath grouper has become symbolic not just of strength, but of resilience. It represents what can happen when humans recognize their impact and choose a path of stewardship instead of exploitation. These fish remind us that the ocean's giants are not just resources to be consumed, but wonders to be respected. So when the line snaps tight, when the reel screams under impossible pressure, and when the fish of a lifetime finally surfaces, it's not just a battle won. It's a reminder the ocean is still full of giants, and it is our duty to make sure it stays that way.